Good morning, kids, or afternoon, depending on what time you have this class. Today you're going to be learning about different types of graphs, and you're going to need to be taking notes with me, so make sure you have your notebook ready. So first off, you guys know you always have to write your name, the date, and what period is in math. You have to have a title. Our title today is Types of Graphs. Our essential question today is what types of graphs can we use to represent data? And then remember, we always set up our page so we have notes on one side, questions on the other. Please make sure you add at least 3 or 4 questions over here on the side when you're done. That means you have to come up with those. I'm not coming up with the questions for you. Whew, that was hard to get out. So I just want to remind you what a graph is. So let me get a different color here. Remember, a graph is a visual representation. So something you can see with your eyes. It could be a diagram or report, or it has values in it, right? And then let's talk about the word data, because some of you are still confused about the word data. Data is a collection of facts. It could be numbers. Oh, it helps if I actually write of in there. Sorry, guys. See, Mrs. Roller isn't perfect. So it could be numbers, words, measurements, observations, all of those things. The list goes on. So if you're in science, we could have data about something you watch, like the measurement of plants as they grow, or the measurement of light, or you could have observations that you think the plant's wilting or getting brown, like changing color. So those would be observational data. So let's talk about different types of graphs. So first off, we have to have something to graph. So I'm just going to say, maybe I asked you all what your favorite sport was. And if I asked you what your favorite sport was, I could make a quick, what I like to call frequency table. It's just a T-chart. And on one side I'm going to write down some types of sports. So I have soccer, football, hey, football's back, basketball, volleyball, softball or baseball. I'm going to include both of them together. And then one of my favorites is hockey, so I'm going to put that in the other category. And let's say I asked you guys all this question, and I got 4 of you that liked soccer, 5 that liked football, 1 that liked basketball, 3 that liked volleyball, 4 that liked baseball, and 6 others. Okay? So if I wanted to use that data to make different types of graph, the first type of graph I could make is what's called a bar graph. So I'm going to write over here bar graph. And remember, bar graphs are really easy to identify because they have bars on them. So you first have to make your number lines or your coordinate graph. So I've got my little X and Y here. And on this side I'm going to put my numbers. So looks like I'm just going to do it by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And then on this side, I'm going to actually write the different things. So, and I'm going to come up with different colors for the different sports just to make it a little easier. So soccer, I'm going to write soccer here. And soccer had 4 people that liked it. So I'm going to make a little bar graph that shows that soccer was 4 people. I'm going to color that in with soccer. That's 4 people because I went up to the 4 line, right? If I'm talking football, there were 5 people, so I'm going to go halfway between the 4 and the 6, and I'm going to make my little football bar. Then let's say we have basketball. I'm just going to put b-ball. And b-ball only had 1, so I'm going to go halfway between 0 and 2. Not very many for b-ball. And then I have volleyball. I'm just going to put v-ball because we're going to try to get this all to fit. And volleyball had 3, so I have to go halfway between the 2 and the 4. Right? And then we had softball. Let me come up with another color. I think I have purple. We'll try. Oh, let's hope it works. So I have softball / baseball. And we had 4, so I'm going to go all the way up to the 4. And I got to make this graph. Good thing I have a erasable pen, right? I got to make my graph a little bigger. So I'm going to go out. And my last one, I'm just going to do the same color again, is my other. And there were 6 people. So 6 people liked other sports. So it could have been like sledding, hockey, whatever it is you like. Track and field, whatever your sport is. So that's a bar graph. And you notice that the bars are separate, right? So that's a bar graph. Now we're going to talk a little bit about another type of graph, which is a histogram. So if I wanted to talk about, let's do genres of music. So let's say I asked you about the types of music you like. The word is genre. I'm going to make another frequency chart. So number of listeners. And then this side's going to be number of genres. So like, say you listen to rock and rap. Let's say you listen to country and rap. Let's say you listen to heavy metal and classical, whatever it is. So let's say we have 3 listeners that listen between 0 and 2 genres of music. Let's say I have 8 listeners that listen between 3 and 5 different kinds of music. 5 people listen to 6 to 8 different genres, and 7 people listen to 8+ different. And I'm actually in that 8+ genre, like that much more stuff. So we're going to make a histogram, and we're actually going to be talking about these this week. We're going to make one as a class. But a histogram is a little different than a bar graph. Looks similar, but it is a little different. So we're going to do the same thing over on this side. We're going to do our numbers. So I'm going to put 2, 4, 6, 8 here. And then on this side, we're going to talk about the different numbers of genre. I don't have a single number, do I? I have 0 through 2. It varies. So I'm going to put 0 through 2 down here. And it looks like I had 3, so I'm going to go like this. And the difference between a bar graph and a histogram is a histogram has intervals. It has different amounts. And then 3 to 5 different genres had 8, so I'm going to go all the way. And they touch each other because there is no space in between them. There is no exact number. If you said, how many sodas do you drink in a week? Oh, I drink 2 to 3. That's an interval. It varies, right? So we have to have that little interval in there. So 6 to 8 genres. We're 5 people, so I'm going to make sure I go halfway between 5 and 6, color that in, and of course I don't know if I made that long enough. Well, let's hope it works. And then I had 7 people do 8+, so I'm going to write 8+, and make sure I go halfway between 7 and 8, and make my bar for that histogram. So the difference between a bar graph and a histogram is that the histogram touches because there's intervals. What were these called? Intervals. So that would be a good question over here. What's the difference between a bar graph and a histogram? We're going to talk about a few more graphs later in the week.